speaker brings a distinctive and highly applicable perspective to the question of diversity and inclusivity. He is an Afro-Hispanic immigrant from the Dominican Republic who just gained his U.S. citizenship in the last year and a half. This gives him a first-hand look at the hurdles that must be overcome in order to be treated as a natural-born American under the law, and has driven him as a grassroots political activist in favor of immigration reform, as well as promoting diversity within the secular movement. He's currently a law student studying civil rights, constitutional law, and the role of race in atheist communities. And, if that were enough, he also identifies as gay. These combine to give him an unusual perspective on the intersectionality of race, religion, sexual orientation, and gender expression within oppressive systems. And these have motivated him to get involved in protests, to work on LGBT political candidates, and working to foster diversity within his Secular Student Alliance affiliate at the University of Central Florida since its inception in 2011. Please welcome Herman Beard.
Hello. What's up? Hey, fun times. So, she pretty much said all that I am, so I don't need to say that myself. What we're going to be looking at here are threats to diversity, mostly. Things that people, especially students, while conducting their groups, find prevalent in their groups, and ways to stop them, and also trying to tear down misconceptions about diversity, what it is, what it isn't, and what it should be, and how to get there. Without further ado, in efforts to try to not to invalidate my entire talk, I'm just going to say that no two SSAs are the same. You're not going to have the exact same populace, you're not going to have the exact same demographics all across the entire country. For example, when we're speaking about diversity, you might not think that young lady over there, Crystal, holding the hand of Jesus, is very diverse, or part of diversity, but she is. She has three kids actually, which she brings to our meetings. Things like that people don't necessarily think would be diversity is because you know, you look at people from different backgrounds, you look at people who have gone through different struggles that you have, and then you eventually learn from them. When I was talking to one of my colleagues from, I think it was East Illinois, he told me that in a very small town, he told me that diversity is hard for him because for their group, because it's mostly a white neighborhood, a white college, and that's fine. If it's 95% white, we're not going to attack you for not having that many black members, because everything is specific to your own SSA. My group, for example, 60,000 students in UCF, it would be a problem if we didn't have black members or gay members. So you need to keep that in mind when you're thinking about diversity. So this is something that I've seen, and some of you may have seen, in Facebook or in social media. It's black, white, female, Asian, male, gay, human. This is what people think diversity is. A lot of people think diversity is this. But what we really aren't figuring out is the fact that all these people are different. They're not the same. This is just completely wrong. I'm going to try to not speak out of my depth, but I do have a CSI degree, pretty much, certificate from UCF, taught by John Schultz, who studied in the Casey Anthony case, and he taught me a lot of awesome things. He taught me that you divide usually ancestry between African, Caucasoids, and Asians. You have different features. The shoveling of the teeth are more Asian cultures. Rectangular orbits, more African cultures. Male and female pelvises. This is just completely wrong. You don't pretend that people are exactly the same, because that leads to extremes. This is Stephen Colbert, a very good friend of mine, obviously. I don't see a race. I've evolved beyond that. I just pretend everybody's white, so it's fine. So this is what you get when you think about diversity in that way, in thinking that everybody is exactly the same, so there's no need to bring in people from other cultures. There's no need to go do certain activities that may make other people from other cultures feel better and feel at home. And therefore your group is not going to get anywhere. It's just going to be a monolith, monochromatic, just one color, which is obviously not what we try to do. These are threats to diversity, which is what I'm mainly going to talk to you about today. SSA has this wonderful, wonderful part in their website called That Guy. Personal experience in my running of the group makes it clear that at some point you're going to have that guy. It doesn't have to be a guy, could be a woman, a person who self-identifies as whatever they want to, but this person will likely try to instigate, make trouble, make some very badly tasted jokes. You can usually tell this person apart from other people because as soon as they tell the joke, they laugh at it, and nobody else does. But their defenses to this will be, it wasn't offensive, grow up, or some half-baked interpretation of the Constitution saying that it's their freedom of speech. I'm not a very big fan of call-out culture, which is, let's say we're in a room and somebody says something that I might think is offensive. I'm not a big fan of you standing up and saying, that's offensive, you're racist, because you're shaming your own members. At that point, you're not including them in the conversation that you want them to have. The point definitely needs to be brought up. The person needs to understand that they are being offensive to other members. But the way you go about it is just as important as the fact that this person is offending some of your members. The best way that I would go about it, and the way that I think we've been doing it lately, is pull the person aside. Especially your leadership needs to be on top of this. Your leadership needs to recognize these kinds of situations. They can't be blind towards it. Believe it or not, I was kind of Cartman-y at some point. People who don't know me might be kind of offended at the jokes that I do and say. And the president of SSA-UCF, my very best friend, he was pretty much, German, you're up here, we need you like down here. And normal people are like way down over here. So like, you need to tone it down a little bit because new members don't know the camaraderie I have with other members. And when I tell them stuff that might seem really offensive to new members, they don't know what kind of relationship I have with the person that I'm talking to. So you always need to be aware that there may be new members here, people who may not be comfortable in this sort of environment. Even the fact that they're there at SSA might be a huge step for them. So you need to be conscious in not letting this statements like this and people like this run your club and be offensive towards them. And the other side of the coin, we have the overcompensator. So Pizza Day will now be known as Italian American Soft Spread Day. So you can't go the other way too much. You can't you can't victimize people from different backgrounds to the point where they feel like you're just trying to bring them in as a prop, as a token, as something just to be had. These are all different people coming from different backgrounds, and if you reduce it to you're black, you're gay, we need to have you just because you're black or just because you're gay, or it's going to be detrimental to their lifestyles, and also to assume that they need to be talked to in a very, I don't want to say PC because PC has a lot of different connotations, but you can assume that they want to be talked to in, let's say, this way, to be too soft on them, because they're going to feel like you're not actually engaging them in a personal level. One of my very good friends brought up something that was posted in his dorm room, and it said, things you should never ever ask an LGBT person, and the first one is, are you gay? I'm like, people ask me if sometimes people, especially after I've met them and I've talked to them, people ask me if I'm gay. Actually, that's how I know most of my gay friends, because I asked them if they were gay at some point. It's not that they're not going to be automatically completely offended at that question. If they are, definitely apologize to them, because a lot of different people have different perceptions on that sort of thing. But don't be afraid to talk about it, because if you don't talk about it, we're back to this. We're back to you thinking everybody's the same. You're thinking that everybody's going to be offended at specific things. So you need to make sure that you're treating them as people, not as umbrella of gay, umbrella of black, umbrella of Hispanic. Solutions. This is Conway Stern, a pretty diverse person. Activities. If you ever want to see me eat a bowl of goat guts boiled in blood, take me to a traditional Dominican restaurant. Get your SSA to get out of their comfort zone. If you go to the same pizza or burger place every single time, first of all, it's boring. Second of all, you're not really catering to that diverse community. Go out to ask your diverse members. I know that some of them will tell you this is a great, let's say, Indian restaurant. This is a great Dominican restaurant. This is where I go to eat. Take your members to experience new things. Make them give them the opportunity to be part of your culture. And it's not, you're not taking away their culture, you're not appropriating it, you're not thinking that, oh, now I can dress up, just like them and be, their ethnicity. No, you're just taking part in what makes them feel comfortable. Visibility. Kara said this earlier, and I'm going to say it now. Just don't have 14 dudes on your table and that's it. Just 14 white dudes on your table. Do you think you're gonna get anything other than white dudes? Like straight? No, it's not gonna work. It goes double for officers. This is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart because it's come up multiple times. The fact of having a minority, either a woman, a person from different alternative sexuality, race, in your executive board. The question that comes up all the time is, are we voting them in just because they're a minority? And we should think about this in a very scientific way. Everybody that gets elected to an officer position brings about a certain amount of abilities, whatever their past experience was, whether they're working with politics. By the virtue of a person being a minority, being in an officer position, they will bring more diversity into your club. Just by them being there, it is innate. Obviously, don't elect someone who can't do the job. That's definitely not what I'm saying. But just keep it in mind that visibility is one of the most important things for your SSA group. And there needs to be more of it because most of us aren't doing it right. Just how the atheist community and the secular community is structured per se, it's a lot more men than women. It's a lot more white men than women. But Carrie just told me an interesting statistic that I didn't know. You're pretty much going on 50-50 at SSA, so men and women are pretty equal. How it should be. Openness. Like what I was saying about not being afraid to ask people things. Get to know your membership. A lot of people, especially officers, don't take the time to talk to people because they may have friends that are diverse and or know places where you can go out and talk to people. So if you close yourself off, if you don't even think of it as a problem, then you're never going to get to this. Thing that I wanted to say before, back when I was talking about East Kentucky, don't start out thinking that we're 95% white, therefore we can't ever get a black person here. If you start thinking like that, then you're obviously never even going to try, and you're never going to have one. So what you need to do is first go through all these steps, try to engage the community in an effective way, and then after you figure out maybe it's just a demographic problem, maybe you can't actually, there's no one around, and then it's fine to just not put it at the forefront. But regardless, you should always be open and inclusive, using inclusive language towards pretty much all of your members. Try to avoid, and this person is going to do it a lot, try to avoid just slurs of any kind, especially when it comes to sexualities, especially transphobic stuff, that's really rampant around these days. Make sure that you identify these things and, shut it down. And opportunity. Make sure that everybody else in your club is open to running for a position of responsibility, especially if they are minorities and things like that, because that's just going to allow them to better the entirety and pretty much get anything that actually, I lost my train of thought there. Pretty much make your club the best that it can be through diverse talking of ideas. The thing about being from different cultures is that if you're just homogenous, you're only going to have one idea. You're only going to be in one train of thought. You can't actually build a club from different ideas if you don't have different people in them. So in the interest of not running too late, and have you guys see somebody else that's smarter and less attractive, we're gonna do Q&A, and then we're gonna end it up there. So, any specific questions? Kara.
I have a question about your experience in law school and coming out of the SSA, UCF, pretty inclusive space, and then you go to
Barry University School of Law, a Catholic law school.
So I kind of want to know about that.
So when I first walked into my, when you first walk into Barry, you see just Virgin Mary just like that. And there's crucifixes in every single classroom, which doesn't bother me. I was raised Catholic, and I like the imagery. But my laptop, the previous laptop that I had to change it. I open it up, and in the back it's just one big sticker that says 10 reasons why beer is better than Jesus. And it goes through all of them. They're a pretty good one. I think the last one is like, if you're addicted to beer, there are groups to help you. But I was just doing this, typing away. Law and Order was playing, which I bet they think is funny. Yeah, just typing away in the cafeteria, and one of the girls that was just walking on comes up to me and is like, "Why do you have atheist stickers if you go to a Catholic university?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know if you read it, but I definitely read the Code of Conduct in Barry University that says that they're not allowed to discriminate for religious reasons, sexual discrimination, or anything like that." And she was just pissed off and went away. So, so yeah, it's definitely a different environment coming from UCF, where you have such diversity of people, and here is just definitely just mostly Caucasian, upper middle class people, because it's expensive too. So it was a bit of changing. I have to curtail my language a lot of times, but I mean, I'm not hiding or anything. I wear my Christopher Hitchens shirts like on the daily. So, but
Kentucky, when you went to a distillery in a very Christian area, you wore Christopher Hitchens.
I did do that, but in the interest of bourbon, I did that. So, Michael.
When you say that you do adjust your language while at the university, you just do that out of respect when you say that?
Respect, and also I want to maximize my possibilities of actually getting employed at some point. Law is a very old boys sort of profession, especially the one that I'm going to right now, but I do it out of respect. It depends on what you mean. It depends what I mean about respect. When I'm with my friends who are atheists, I joke about, God and stuff like that. I don't do that around them because I don't like to make people angry for absolutely no reason. And which is a big thing when you talk about diversity is if you don't have a reason to say something other than to incite people, then you probably shouldn't say that thing. But mostly for respect and just, I don't want people angry for no reason. Jared?
Do you think the best thing to do with that guy is to get rid of him or teach him to not be that guy?
Oh, he's your member. She's your member. They are your members. The first thing you should do is try to curtail the behavior so that they understand, first of all, what they're doing wrong, and second of all, they have a chance to fix it. Because if you just start kicking out people left and right for anything, really, you're gonna close off your club to only people who think like you. So you're both gonna learn something when you talk to this person, and you find you're gonna, if they're open about it, you're never really gonna find a middle ground. Nobody comes to your club, usually, nobody comes to your club just to start trouble. they come to they don't take out an hour each week to sit in a lecture and then go out to eat afterwards just to start trouble. They're probably legitimately interested in your club and in the secular movement. To just kick him out outright makes no sense, and you're going to have more people like that. The best thing to do is to bring him in and make him understand why these specific things are frowned upon. And also, this goes mostly for your meetings, for official events where you're representing SSA. Your group is not going to be a monolith. Your group is going to be split off into different people, especially if it's big enough. It's going to split off into different people that do different things, and then you all come together for group events. So those people might be comfortable in their own little group and saying the things that they like, but when you're representing the club, when you want to include everyone as you possibly can, you have to make sure that there's a standard of behavior that is followed. Right here.
Do you have any insights on differently abled people? I've noticed that whenever there's talk of diversity, there's rarely talk of differently abled people.
I haven't personally had insights with differently abled, as in physical disabilities, but I know definitely, like the American with Disabilities Act also includes mental disabilities. We've had people that just have been open to us about their disabilities, and we've helped them through specific means if we can. Because a lot of my personal experience with it is that the people that have the disabilities are come to us for help with them, and we're not equipped to do that. But we do like to include language that is very open to, you know, people with disabilities. But I actually, do you have any specific examples of problems that you've had? I don't know, just answer the question with a question.
I've noticed that lots of people talk, whenever they talk to anyone, they'll always talk how everyone has an able body. And there's rarely any talk about people who just do not have able bodies. Like, well, they can't walk very far, or not even at all. And you talk about putting up a table, and someone who can't walk or sit or stand for very long wouldn't be able to help with that, and they might feel excluded. So I was thinking anything like that.
I think the best way to do it, same with different ethnicities, different sexual orientations, is just to curtail your activities and your language to make them feel welcome. For example, you know, the functional equivalent of me going to a Dominican restaurant might be us doing an activity that doesn't necessarily involve physical exertion or things like that, like let's just play cards inside if there's somebody with that specific disability. And definitely, if you don't have anybody with a specific disability, definitely rotate those kinds of activities anyway, just to make sure that if somebody does come along, then they feel accepted in the exact same way. Michael?
So have you had any instances where you tried to search out minorities to join your local SSA?
We've tried to, and our other groups on campus aren't really strong right now, but that's, you know, personal, I guess, experience. But definitely before that, we would go to other groups like the Equal Organization, now National Organization for Women, Vox Voices for Planned Parenthood. That's the best way to go out, because other groups are active, they're starting things, and you're definitely going to find somebody there. It's college. You're definitely going to find somebody there who wants to be part of the Secular Student Alliance. So go to gay pride parades. Go to a gay club. Oh my God, go to a gay club. It's it's one of the most fun experiences and the straight people have way more fun than I do. Believe you me, Jared. I think we're almost done.
The differently abled people and people with disabilities. One of the things you don't want to do with people with disabilities and people that are differently able is treat them as a disability. You do not want to treat them as their disability. I think 1 in 3 Americans take antidepressants. They are not all the same person. They don't all need the same adjustments. They don't all need to be catered to the same way. You want to, You have people with other disabilities, you want to talk to that person, you definitely need to talk to people. And if you see a problem, you need to talk to them and ask them, how can we help you? How can we help you be more involved in the club? How can we cater to you if there's any way that we can do that? You want to be very accommodating at a personal level.
I think we're done.
That wasn't the question.
Yeah, I know. It was very nice. Thank you. And on that last note, yeah, don't treat people like their disabilities. Don't treat people like their race. Don't treat people like their sexual orientation. They are more than that. They're individual people. Get to know them, and you'll have a better time, including other people. Yeah.